A single missed payment, 30 days late. That's all it takes. One late payment, reported just once, can drop your credit score by as much as 100 points. Not a typo. 100 points from one mistake on one bill in 1 month. If you've ever wondered why your score cratered after what felt like a small slip-up, this is why. And today we're going deep on exactly how this works, why the damage is so disproportionate to what actually happened, how long it follows you, and what you can realistically do about it, whether it already happened or you're trying to protect yourself from it happening at all. Part 1. Why? One late payment. Hits. This hard to understand why this hurts so much. You have to understand how your score is actually built. Payment history is the single heaviest factor in your credit score, carrying 35% of the total weight. Nothing else comes close. Not your utilization, not the length of your credit history, not your credit mix. Payment history alone accounts for more than a third of the entire calculation. Now here's the part that surprises people. The scoring models aren't just asking, has this person ever missed a payment? They're asking, how recent was it? A late payment from 6 years ago barely registers anymore. A late payment from last month is treated as urgent, current information about how you're behaving right now. Scoring models weight recent behavior far more heavily than old behavior, because recent behavior is considered the best predictor of what you'll do next. This is why someone with an otherwise flawless payment history can see such a dramatic drop from a single incident. The model isn't comparing your one late payment against your years of on-time payments and finding a small average. It's reacting to what looks like a sudden change in your reliability and reacting hard, because that's exactly the kind of signal the model was built to catch early. Part 2. Why the damage isn't equal for everyone. Here's something almost nobody explains clearly. The same late payment does not cost everyone the same number of points. If you have a long history of perfect, on-time payments, a single late mark can actually cost you more points than it would cost someone who already has a few late payments in their history. This feels backwards, but it makes sense once you think about it from the model's perspective. Someone with a spotless record just showed an unexpected change in pattern. Someone who already has some late payments showing another one is a smaller shift from what the model already expected. This means the people who get hit hardest by a single late payment are often the exact people who feel it's most unfair. People who have done everything right for years and then had one bill slip through the cracks during a hard month. The severity also depends on how late the payment actually was. 30 days late is treated very differently from 60 or 90 days late. The initial 30-day mark causes real damage, but the score impact escalates the longer a payment goes unresolved. This is why paying something the moment you realize it's late, even if it's already technically reported, genuinely matters. Getting it current stops the bleeding before it becomes a 60 or 90-day mark, which cuts even deeper. Part 3. How long this actually follows you. Now let's talk about the timeline, because this is where a lot of fear and confusion lives. A late payment can legally remain on your credit report for 7 years from the date of the missed payment. 7 years. That sounds like a life sentence, and emotionally it can feel like one. But here's the part that matters just as much as the legal timeline. The score impact is not evenly spread across those 7 years. The damage is heaviest in the first 12 to 24 months after it happens. This is when the scoring model treats it as recent, relevant information about your current reliability. As time passes, and you continue making on-time payments elsewhere, the weight of that single late mark gradually fades, even though it's technically still sitting there on your report. By the time you're 3 or 4 years out, assuming no other late payments have occurred, the impact is often a small fraction of what it was in month 1. This means the people who recover fastest aren't the ones who wait passively for 7 years to pass. They're the ones who immediately stack new, positive, on-time payment history on top of it. Every single on-time payment after the late mark is evidence working in your favor, gradually diluting the weight of that one bad month. Part 4. What you can actually do about it. If this already happened to you, there are real, legitimate paths forward, and they're worth knowing in order. The first is a goodwill adjustment request. If this was a one-time slip, a genuine oversight during an otherwise clean payment history, many creditors will remove a single late mark as a courtesy, especially for long-standing customers. This isn't guaranteed, and it isn't a right you can demand, but it costs you nothing to ask, and it works more often than people expect, particularly with smaller creditors and long relationships. The second is verifying accuracy. Sometimes a payment reported as late wasn't actually late, due to a processing delay on the creditor's end, or a payment that was made on time but posted after the due date internally. If you have proof the payment was made when it should have been, this becomes a dispute for inaccurate reporting, not a request for leniency, and those tend to move faster. The third and most powerful long-term strategy is simply what we already touched on. Consistency going forward. Every on-time payment after this one is actively working to reduce its weight in the model. This isn't about erasing the past. It's about building a large enough body of recent positive behavior that the one bad month becomes a smaller and smaller piece of the overall picture your file tells. Part 5. How to make sure this never happens again. Since prevention is so much easier than recovery here, a few things are worth putting in place immediately if you haven't already. Automatic minimum payments on every single account, even ones you plan to pay off in full manually. This means even if you forget, or a bill gets buried, or life gets chaotic for a stretch, the minimum still goes through and you never cross into late territory in the first place. A calendar alert a few days before every due date, separate from the automatic payment, simply as a second layer of awareness. Systems fail sometimes, cards expire, bank details change. Having a manual check in place catches the rare case where an automatic payment doesn't go through as expected. And finally, if you know a payment is genuinely going to be late, call the creditor before the due date, not after. Many creditors have hardship provisions or one-time courtesy extensions available, but only if you reach out proactively. Once it's already 30 days late and reported, your options narrow considerably. One late payment, 30 days, up to 100 points. That's the real disproportionate math of how this works, and now you understand why. It's not that the system is being unfair to you specifically. It's that payment history carries more weight than anything else in your file, and recency matters more than almost anyone realizes. If it already happened, you're not stuck for 7 full years the way it feels. The damage fades fastest for those who immediately stack new positive history on top of it, and a genuine goodwill request costs nothing to try. If it hasn't happened yet, automate everything, build in a second layer of awareness, and call before a due date, not after. This is Credit Clarity. We'll see you in the next one.